we will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I took up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man,
MH.
He is the DB of the show, and we are Black in Sports, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. Here today, bringing you back inside the locker room where we talk about topics in and around the game. MH, you ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So today inside the locker room, man, we want to talk about if preseason really matters, right? So we're talking about, of course, in the NFL. Over the last, was it 2 years, 3 years? There's been like this change or this push with the new mindset of a coaching mindset to where, there's different philosophies, right? Well, they call it school of thought, right? To where, we're not seeing as many players being played during the preseason for whatever reason, right? Like, what's some of the reasons? I mean, it's like the big one, people don't want to get their stars hurt, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Veterans ain't trying to play any extra than they need to.
Correct.
Longer season, right? So
Longer season.
So any way to kind of like keep these people out, and like I guess the need. I guess another thing, if I was to be a betting man, just like looking at the game, more reps for your young guys coming in, right? Like getting more film time for them, executing and seeing, for when you make that cut to that 53-man roster. So a lot is going around whether or not people should play that preseason or be in depth with the preseason game. And I want to start with it. Kind of sucks for the fans. I mean, you've been waiting all this long to see football, because you know how we are. Like, we're excited as hell when, like, it's like, oh shit, the draft and trades and camp starting and shit, right? Like, so you get excited for all of that. So I think it sucks a little bit from a fan experience for them not to have a preseason.
I mean, honestly, it depends on who the fan is, because I don't really care, and I guess I'm coming from it from a couple of different perspectives.
Okay.
One, I mean, they don't do a schedule release show on who's the preseason games. They just, teams kind of schedule their own preseason type of thing, right? So I think it matters a little bit, not necessarily for the people that a typical fan would know: your starting quarterback, your star receiver, your running back, maybe a linebacker, maybe a corner, maybe defensive lineman, whoever that may be, is that that the players Matter of fact, you don't even know who the defensive lineman is. You don't know who the linebacker is. You know who could be on fantasy. So that's most people in this that are football fans, right?
Okay. But from like devil's advocate. Okay, continue.
Please tell me.
So devil's advocate, though.
Yep.
You know how I like where my line always runs to connects to, right?
I mean,
So,
speaking of line,
there's
a line that connects something, boy.
See a crisp one going on, man. Hey, can you lean into this? Can you lean into this question a little bit?
Let me just think about what you're saying real quick.
But anyway, for those that can't, you guys got to just tune into the YouTube. Anyway, from a fan's perspective, my line goes to always the money, right? So you're charging people to come see this event, right? So isn't it kind of your responsibility to put a decent product on the field?
Yeah, there's a product on the field, and that's the great thing about the NFL. Most people in the NFL, I would probably throw back at you. I guess the nature of the game is not necessarily set up around, and I'm kind of contradicting myself here, around the player, right? It's set around the team, right? It's set around the brand, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Steelers. It doesn't really matter to the players. Players come and go. It's the brand. It's the team. You've been a Steelers fan longer than I don't know. Give me your starting quarterback now. I don't know who's your starting quarterback. Trubisky.
You're trying to be funny, huh?
Yeah. So whoever it is now, you're still a fan of that's what I'm saying. You're still a fan of the Steelers. You're not necessarily a fan of just one player on the Steelers, right? You may be a fan of a player, but you're a fan of the the Steelers. So seeing your team in its stadium in August, I still think it's a benefit. It's a product. And then you get to see, if you're a real football fan, hey, you get to see the depth of your roster. Nobody stays healthy all season. That's the great thing about football, and the bad thing, right? The roster on September 14th or whenever the opening date was for football, the first regular season game, is never the same when at the end of the season when it's going to be January. There's always some hurts or injuries, or some young guy steps out, an undrafted guy out of nowhere comes, and you got to pick this guy off waivers or something. Your roster is always going to change. So I think the preseason is good for that. You get to see what young people are out there, what players are getting cut in other teams, what young players you may have. But is it really necessary? No.
We're not even gonna go through layers. It's just a straight out no for you. Well, you contradict yourself right off the bat. You about the fans, right? Because most people, and I think going back into the trend or the byline or whatever, people saying if it's needed, people aren't just fans of teams anymore, right? Like the newer age people are more fans of players anyway,
which is fine. But does NFL base their product off of
Oh, we know the NFL
football?
doesn't care. The NFL is just printing money. Like they're the shield. Like they can do no wrong. Right. So I mean, they said we're gonna do 17 games, and everybody just had to adjust and adapt to it.
Yeah,
they said we're gonna play on Thursday, and everybody's gonna adjust to it. Hey, fuck you, college football. We're gonna take your day where you got to shine so we could get to know the product that's eventually coming. And there's a game on Wednesday night when we're recording this, and then now they play on Friday night. And hell, I've seen like what they do, like Mac at night or some shit like that.
You may go ahead and figure it out. We got this Thursday.
We got this Thursday. Oh, and by the way, NBA, we're gonna start playing on Christmas too.
Yeah, Christmas. We got that. New Year's too. Sorry, falls on New Year's. I know y'all got bowl games. We got that. Watch out.
We got that. So we know the Shield doesn't give a shit about whatever. The Shield says, hey, I like it over here. I'm gonna set up a tent. You guys are welcome to kind of come around and hang out. But right, 4 and 5, I got that.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, from a fan perspective, I just think sometimes, especially I think how these games are priced, maybe that's the only time that people get a chance to. But to your fact, they're picking these certain games to where like these practices, though, and I think we talked about it in our preseason show.
The
joint practices is taking over more than anything else. So from a fan perspective, I guess they're just out, man.
Yeah, I mean, you got 17 games as a fan, and honestly, even if you care about the preseason, you're not going to see what you see in the regular season anyway. From a competitive standpoint, obviously, there's a health component, as you mentioned earlier. So guys want to be healthy for the regular season when the game checks are rolling in and where it really matters. But also from a strategy standpoint, like you don't want to just put your best stuff out there for the whole world and the whole NFL to decipher what that is right off the bat.
It's definitely vanilla.
Yeah. Whereas in practice or even those joint practices, you might throw a little sauce into it, but it's only really a couple teams that's monitoring that, not the entire world for it to see. So I think there's advantages to just keeping it all in house onto the practice. And then and if I'm backing up, most training camps, they're more of a fan fest opportunity anyway. You get a more intimate view with everybody does a training camp, so to speak, and I would say 90% of them have fans in there as well. And there's a component to that where you can get a close, intimate, relationship, or not relationship, but intimate contact with experience. Thank you. With the players, and you don't necessarily get that at a preseason game. So I think they're okay. Now, there's other ways I think you can argue, but if it's just, hey, we expect the product, then I don't know about that one, man. I seen grown ass fans pushing little kid fans for an autograph. So
facts.
Fans only go so far with me.
Fan, that is fact. So, just like they say, fuck them kids, Miles like fuck them fans. So all right, so moving on then. All right, so then statistics, right? So after the first week, the teams that did not have a decent preseason or play their starters in preseason, they went 3-8. So,
Mhm.
and now you're kind of seeing sloppy play or just teams not really gelling. And I think, as we both know, it always takes the offense a little longer to find
Mhm.
chemistry because defense that we both played is more reactionary. You follow your keys. So, you can get 11 guys on the field, you know what I mean, on defense, and they can gel and produce quicker than, it takes offenses. And we're seeing some of that in some of these games. I mean, well, not that Lions, what's your name? What Seahawks game? There was not Nan defense played in that one this past week.
Correct.
But for the most part, though, so do you think that affects the chemistry? I mean, just looking at the numbers, right? Like 3-8 out of the teams that played.
I do. Yes and no. So, I mean, I think scoring is. They said out of the first quarter of the season, we're about a quarter in now.
Mm-hmm.
The scoring overall is as low as it's been since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I guess one could argue is, hey, more than half the teams didn't play their stars all preseason, so the chemistry and the timing's off. I don't know where you would get that in the preseason game, though. And what I would argue back, because again, we said it's so vanilla. You're not going to really scout for the teams. We know football is a strategy built up. It's a week of preparation built up to the game day. So, a lot of it is strategy and situations that you work on throughout the week, and you're not going to really get that in-depth strategy or the in-depth scouting into a preseason game. You're just not going to do that. Where I think it's more effective than the actual players playing the chemistry. I think it's just the logistics of how a game works. Hey, coach, in this opportunity or in this situation, what do
We're
you
gonna
want
do
to do?
this.
We
Can we
haven't
look
been there
at
before. A lot of
absolutely
quarterbacks has moved. That usually quarterbacks don't move. We got Russell Wilson's in Denver, and how things change, and coaches are new, so there's a little bit of some, I guess to that point there's a little chemistry issues, but I don't know if you get that in the preseason. It's going to take a couple regular season games to get that anyway.
So I think that's where you talk about like that point exactly, because you do get that routine. I think that's more important than anything. I think we even talked about that when we're doing a Super Bowl show, and we were talking about whether the one coach, who got in that accident that took a
Andy
life or
Reid's
whatever.
son.
Yeah, how that affected him, right? Because he may be like the get back coach or something like that, but he had a role that was disrupted that someone else had to pick up during the game, and like while it may not be big, it has an effect, right? So
Sure.
and I think most people know, right? Like, especially come from an offensive standpoint, right? Those scripted first 10 plays, right? Like going through that motion with your starting receiver, starting offensive line, and things like that. I definitely think it matters. And you know, and then
I think it matters somewhat. I think
okay,
people are just playing good defense, man. To be honest, I mean, can we get the defense some love? I think,
always
yeah, I think they're playing solid defense, and it's been, um, I guess, sloppy, but I think, I think defense has been improved. There are really, 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 really good athletes on defense, man. It's
crazy.
incredible to see. I'm getting off topic now, but sometimes just watching an NFL game and then you get that up close personal. We have the pleasure to do it here in Las Vegas and seeing the size and speed of those guys, even on
It's crazy.
defense. I mean, it's time to give some of them dudes some credit too. You know what I
No,
mean? It's
no
time to give them
facts.
some credit. It's a scary sight.
All right, so let's take it to individuals then. Do you think it affected your team? And then, coming off of preseason and where where your Dallas Cowboys are at right now. And do you
Uh,
guys have a new starting quarterback?
so the Cowboys are 3-1.
Which is
And
amazing.
yeah, it's right on schedule.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I love Dak. He's cool, man. But I think anybody that knows me knows I was a Tony Romo fan. So
Till you die.
the saying was, "Hey, man. Hey, matter of fact, I don't know if anybody can see this, but yeah, this is me and my you can't see it, the ghost, but this is me and my boy Tony. Y'all can't see it, but I'll show y'all one day. We'll post it up there.
We'll post it on there. Let me
But
see.
anyway, the saying is like you can't lose your job for being injured. So we know Tony Romo got hurt and Dak Prescott came in and basically took his job, man. And Tony never got to get his Super Bowl ring that he deserved. So the
Deserved,
fact
huh?
is, so it's interesting now that it's not necessarily happening in that because money talks. We just get it due to the huge contract. But it's interesting that their backup is playing really well and they haven't lost since he's been in the game. So to answer your question, original question, it looked like preseason it affected my guys a little bit because they looked terrible against the Buccaneers week 1. I didn't think they was gonna win 2 games
Yeah, it wasn't
this
looking
year.
good.
But now with Cooper Rush, things have changed mighty quickly. So
Coop's future.
he's cool for right now. I'll just put it that way. He's cool for right now.
There it is. Well, I mean,
What about your team? What
yeah, man.
I mean, your team. We working on the draft trade. You might end Tomlin's streak this year, right?
Man, let's not talk like that. Hey, you know what it is, but hey, shout out to this.
I do. I know y'all looking for
whoa,
y'all working on drafts.
Whoa, listen, disrespect will not happen. We're gonna get a hot streak. So, I mean, a couple of things. Preseason, to answer the question, the topic of the show, did not mean shit for us because we had the biggest problem is our off season. We went out, got a quarterback. It's the era without Ben. We weren't planning properly for that. I didn't think nothing with when you have a backup quarterback named Duck Johnson or whatever the hell his name was, and then Rudolph. We have reindeers in our stable as our backup quarterbacks, and then we go out and get Mitch Trubisky, and I'm just like,
good athlete. You're good athlete.
What?
You're good athlete, Mitch Trubisky.
With that Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were.
Good athlete.
And I mean, I attempted to have this conversation with people and my other Steeler fans and just like, oh, well, we're going to get him in a better coaching system, a better environment. And we're going to do, man, he is what we thought he was, man. And I mean, no knock on him. Like there's enough blame to go around for everybody. I mean, offensive coordinator, that stuff looks really stagnant, but we have pieces that should make it. This should not make it as bad as it is. Right. So, we are now in the situation where we have benched our starting quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, and we are going with our draft pick. So, now the ball's in your hand, Kenny Pickett. We're going to see what he's going to do. He showed some promise when he came into the game last weekend. After he threw the interception on his first throw coming into the NFL, that's going to be a fun fact after he wins a couple of Super Bowl titles with the team. But we got pieces. We got pieces. Hey, if Cowboy fans can be delusional, I can too. But I still hopeful, right? Because it's coaching, it's defense. Like we came out our first game looking amazing because of that defense, right? Like a couple picks.
Yeah, Joe Burrow's a little rusty. He was a little sick all preseason
because
training camp.
Preseason, he ain't played in the preseason, huh?
Right.
So,
yeah, I guess. Mm-hmm.
But hey, you beat a Super Bowl contender in your division. I mean, that's always good. So there's plenty of season,
A lot of football
left. We got Pickett in. He's gonna, like Tomlin said, we're gonna get a spark. He gave us a lot of quotables. Shout out to my man Tomlin. Always gives you. Hey, we're getting a spark. Too much credit is given to the quarterback, and not enough blame is given to other people. We all take responsibility, and I have made that choice. We need a spark. Shout out to Tomlin.
When we take the young man into the stadium and defending every blade of grass, what? I love Mike Tomlin, man.
I love that, man. So I'm still hopeful. Winning season, let's get one win over, or even Steven, we'll figure it out. But I'm still hopeful for that. But all in all, man, it just kind of looks like I think even though we don't like it, and it's like I'm not a fan myself of preseason, like I could care less because the record doesn't matter. Because there's some people that talk about like, oh, we won all of our preseason games. It's like, so
yep.
Like that stat means nothing at all.
I think the 2012 or 2013 Seahawks are the last team that went undefeated in the preseason and won a Super Bowl. So it's been almost a decade.
Fun fact. Okay,
It's been
fun
almost a
fact rounds.
decade. Does it matter? Probably not.
All right, man. Final thoughts from you, brother?
No, I mean Cowboys looking really good as we mentioned.
Yes.
3-1. The home team finally got off the snide, and we'll see what's going on next week at Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I gotta.
It's football season, man. It's good. This is when it gets really good, man. And there's another something that football wise, I'm not going to talk about here. We can talk about later with Tua and the concussion protocols and the timing and all that kind of stuff that we can get into as well. But yeah, man, this is when it gets really exciting. The leaves start to change a little bit. It's not 189 here in Vegas. Gets down to about 93 now, man. So this is when football really gets football, right? It's almost basketball season, so half the moms can take, half the parents can take their little boys and daughters to go play basketball, and we can get a little more physical on the football field. So yeah, man, I love this time of year, man. It's getting fun.
Well, it's like I said, just a quarter football played, lots of football to be played, a lot of acquisitions and talks of, players that could still show up and, people that can, attempt to make a name for themselves. So we'll see what the year progress. Some people started off slow.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts, man. Talking about fantasy. I need you to come on now.
I mean, we still haven't seen the preview of Mr. Watson. He's supposed to come back, so there's a lot
I'm good on him. I'm not even get on that, man. Nasty, weird. You weird,
nasty
bro.
boy.
Yeah,
nasty
you weird.
Weirdo.
All weird folks. I'm done on y'all.
All weird folks. Well, that throws Kanye in there, and that pissed me off.
You mad about it? You know what? Take a pause right quick. We got off subject, man.
Okay.
I want to hear you a little bit on that.
Man.
Everybody knows what Kanye did, right? We all aware of what he's done.
Man, if you're not,
we'll answer for everybody. Yeah, go Google.
Yeah, go Google it, because I don't know. He's right up there. So I will keep it with the sports theme. I'll keep it with your boy AB. Out there sunning and mooning, I guess, at the same time. No, man, it's just a joke, man. I think it's some things are not to be playful, especially when you at a platform like you have, right? And I think that's what we do, with our platform, right? Like, not saying that we're on a Kanye or whoever level, but when we get on this mic, we do take responsibility for what we say. Like, we talk off camera and be like, all right, before we do this, we know what this could or could not be and how we would represent, you know what I mean? So I think he has, what do you call it? Not a privilege. What is it? A responsibility. And then, like, to do that shit, and like, you were way back, you was on there screaming George Bush doesn't like black people, and then now, you damn near 2 steps from being whiteface anyway. So I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot on this, man. And, and maybe I took it, too much to heart, but I just think, like, it's just too much, man. It's like,
I'm with you. It's a lot. I'm with you, but here's where we, I guess, differ. I just don't take this dude seriously. Like, I don't take Antonio Brown seriously. I respect Antonio Brown as a football player and what he did on the field. He's just a goof off the field, whatever. And that's how I honestly feel about Kanye. Hey, I don't need to know about you and your wife's business and your kids' business on Instagram. Whatever shirt you want to make, whatever statement you're trying to say, I don't really care what you're saying. Hey, man, just stick to your craft and move on side. I don't really take you that serious. I take about as serious as I take Skip Bayless, to be honest with you, man. It's just characters, whatever,
and I
bro.
get that. I get that you can have that, but I say it's dangerous because you're thinking about, as an established, mature person. This dude has affected and got rich off of our culture, off of, people, that I just think that's where I look at it from, right? Like, yeah, you can cast him off as a joke, but we cast off another idiot as our joke, and he became our president.
Sure.
So I think that's where it's dangerous. I guess from my perspective, I agree with you. Like, you have to, like, look at the
separate.
Yeah, you have to look at the village idiot as the idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think that just the village idiot didn't have the eyeballs before, right? Like, he was contained in, a certain area. This guy, it went around everywhere, and he's wearing that, and then he's like, it's the attention that he's bringing to it, and it's like, that's not what we need to be focusing on. And then that
Yeah.
gets me to my whole other thing about us not having enough black leaders, and the ones that we do have are like entertainment, and then when they go when they go left, it's like, well, shit, that's all we had, but he was an entertainer, and so that's
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I guess in our society now, where we talk about information and how the world works,
Mhm.
he'll be yesterday's news, and I mean, we'll just be talking about something else in legit 48 hours, bro. And you know what I mean? So like, a lot of these, I guess, celebrities or people with high platforms, man, to me, it's just almost like a TikTok trend. Like, it's like cool. Like, you might get, somebody to retweet your stuff and talk about it for, 15 hours, bro. And we'll be talking about something else next week. And we won't even, we'll have to Google search you and scroll down, 15 minutes to find that story again, man. So I don't know, man. I mean, was it clownery? 100%.
Mhm.
Is it dangerous? I would say so, but I would hope most people just see him as, don't take him that serious, man. I just don't really take the dude that serious. I don't get anything of substance for Kanye.
You still buying
You
his
know.
gear? You still buying his stuff? You still?
You know what? I'm not buying his stuff, but I will say this: I got a new fall collection coming out. I'm about to, I'm gonna let you
Nice
look at
stuff
it,
on-
man.
Okay.
Yeah. The onesie looking thing, the Jason,
The-
the Michael Myers looking suit. That shit kind of cold. So I think I'm gonna get that. And I know Kanye been on that, but I ain't gonna do the boost with it. But yeah, I'm gonna use that too.
all in all, like, I agree with you on the timing, but the damage is done, right? Like, that partial or that thing, that kind of message or whatever it was put out there, right? Like,
It was.
whether it lasts or how long it lasts, I think that's how we think about like trauma and scars, right? And like in
Sure.
some cases it's good, in some cases it's bad, right? Like George Floyd happened, right?
Mhm.
And we don't really still push forward and talk, all of that stuff about George Floyd, and that it was a moment in time. Only thing that's really changed for us is the cops are still killing black people, right? Like, so it's that's why I say it's dangerous, right? Like, so he can get away with doing something and not be reprimanded, other than in the public eye being called a clown until that next thing happens. So I just think it's really dangerous, and that's just like, because we went from preseason to that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, man. But if I know if I know anything about black folk, I know we resilient. So whatever, it like I'm saying, man. Well, I don't. Kanye don't represent me as a black man in America. He a figure. He OJ. He not black. He OJ. So like whatever the
He ain't
case
black, he
is,
Kanye,
do your
100%.
thing, bro. Like whatever. I don't know if I agree with it. You good, man? The shirt too big anyway. Keep it moving.
And get some beard oil and trim your beard. Like, you looking.
I mean, I can hook you up,
you
boy.
got you
Boy,
got
I
the
can get you
insight.
straight, Kanye. I know the contact, boy. I know it.
So everyone that is listening to this, Spotify, iHeart, wherever you listening to this, Amazon, you might want to jump on over to the locker room on YouTube and check my man MH out, man. All right, man. Is that it? You got? Is that all you got for me, MH?
Yeah, that was 10th grade MH, boy. This is 10th grade Miles, boy.
I love it. Well, hey, give us your thoughts. I mean, now you got two things we want to know, man. So what do you feel about preseason? Is it needed, necessary? Or you don't care, or like MH, fuck that preseason? Or are you and what are your thoughts about Kanye, man? I think this may get a little more comments than that, because I know I posted on my social media. What do you think about Kanye, man? MH brings up a really great point, man, where it's just, he's a clown. Let a clown be a clown, man, and keep it moving, or just the underlying, trauma or damage that it caused to us. I mean, we got enough going on as a culture. But hope you enjoyed the show. We drop a new show every Thursday, so please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Look. Yeah. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Sue me, I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap and back.